Hey, hey, hey. How are you, STEM educators? So, we are at day 22 of our equitable grading in STEM, 30 days going live. It is based off of my planner here, Equitable Grading and STEM Planner, where we've been working in two sections thus far. We're in our last section of our 30 days, which we started yesterday. And this last section focuses on your grades will reinforce self efficacy. This planner is based off of Chapter 8 in the book Equity Builds Expertise 9 Strategies for STEM Teachers to Reach All Students. And this book has been, well, I would say it's been building up for the past 30 plus years that I've been in education. I've worn multiple hats as as a teacher, to a school leader, as a school principal, to district level equity work, and it is something that in all my 30 years, I have made so many glorious mistakes, and I felt that it was important for me to share as many lessons learned from those mistakes from both experts, from the research in neuroscience and education and in learning, and lessons that I've just learned from great colleagues, both from the STEM field, but also from special education, history, ELA, English, all of that. So that's found here in the book. But today we are zooming in on chapter 8. Chapter 8 focuses on our ability to create equitable grades and implementing, it's the 8th strategy, implementing equitable grading. And this chapter is called Real Numbers for Real Knowledge. And so I've zoomed out that chapter, or maybe zoomed in on that chapter, and created this planner for you. So here we are, day 22. Day 22 focuses on feedback systems. And feedback is the breakfast of champions. I love that from Ken Blanchard. That's the quote for today. I don't know how many of you feel about feedback. I will say personally, it is hard to listen to feedback. However, I value it. So it's hard for me to listen to feedback, but I always listen to it because it is so valuable. It is the only way that I can grow as an individual, grow in my craft. It's to get the feedback. I went so many years early in my career not getting enough feedback early on in order to improve. So when I did start to get feedback in my very first job, shout out to James Farilli, who was an amazing school leader. I will say one of the first school leaders to give me the feedback on such a consistent basis that I was able to grow so quickly as a teacher under his mentorship and leadership. And I appreciate that. Um, so when it comes to feedback systems, one of the things I want you to think about is how will your feedback reinforce self-efficacy? So when we talk about self-efficacy, we are talking about a student leaving your class for this day, for the school year, believing that they are fully capable of being successful in your class and in that content area. That is not something that comes just easily to many. It is something that must be built. It is something that is nurtured through the culture that you create in your classroom. What contributes to creating culture in your classroom? Your grading systems and your practices. So one of the things I want you to think about is Instead of only marking wrong answers, you can give specific guidance for improvement. A simple shift like that, simple change, a simple identification of saying, okay, not only is this incorrect, but here's your pathway to correcting it. Here's your pathway to improving what you know and currently understand about this concept. Giving that small, specific guidance is something small that can make a big difference in how the student views that mistake, right? They made a mistake. There is some confusion in how they are thinking. They aren't a mistake, right? And so there's a difference there. Part of the issue when it comes to self efficacy is too often our students see themselves as the results that they're getting. I am failing my math test. I see the grade that says I am failing my math assessments. And as a result, I am a failure in math. Right? So that is part of the thinking that's happening there. Instead, what we want them to reframe that thinking to be is more around, I did not perform well on this math assessment because my misunderstanding of factoring, or I didn't remember to reduce this particular fraction. And as a result, the final answer is less accurate. So to improve that, I need to, boom, I need to study these steps that will help me to remember to do this. I need to ask myself the question, right? It's what are the strategies that we can give them? What is the reframing that we can give our students so that we're not just putting a wrong answer, saying this is wrong, go figure it out, but instead we're giving guidance for improvement. Feedback is a powerful tool to build confidence and mastery. We need to remember that. And in fact, in the journal, one of the action pieces is to draft feedback guidance to use in your class. When and how should peer feedback be given in your class? So even thinking about that, when do you want students to work with each other? How should they frame that feedback? How should they talk about that feedback? How and when can students expect feedback from you on an assignment and an assessment? Do you let them know that ahead of time? Hey, we just took this assessment and you can expect to have your test corrected or marked, I should say, and feedback given by this date. Let them know. Let them know when they can expect it. This is a day and age where I know for my own students, they did not get a lot of their assessments back. They got to do a quick look at them, but for the most part, teachers were collecting them. And I believe that was because of, I don't know, test security purposes. But at the same time, that means students didn't always get to see what they got wrong and how they got it wrong and what their thinking was. They didn't get to redo in some instances. And as a result, that meant that they started to internalize their grades. I got this. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know how to fix it for next time. And as a result, this means I'm just not good in X. That's the thinking we're trying to shift here. Feedback systems enable students to gain access to what they don't know, and it empowers them to make the shifts necessary to improve. That's how we build self-efficacy. That's how we change the story. And as always, I end with every grade tells a story. So let's make sure we're making it one that is worth telling. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And I will see you tomorrow for day 23, when we talk a little bit more about growth-oriented praise. All right. See you tomorrow.